San Diego and Tijuana, two sister cities separated by a heavily protected international border between the United States and Mexico. Yes, that's a giant fence that separates the 24-kilometer-long border. It's illegal to cross over that fence if you want to go back and forth between the two cities, which hundreds of thousands of people do every day. You must go through one of three checkpoints. The largest of these checkpoints, the San Isidro port of entry, is the busiest land border crossing in the Western Hemisphere and second busiest international land border crossing in the world. San Diego is often known as, quote, America's finest city. And while Los Angeles often gets all the attention in Southern California, San Diego residents have tremendous pride in their home. Tijuana, meanwhile, is sometimes nicknamed the gateway to Mexico, but San Diego residents often just call it TJ, and it's a major destination hub that tourists flock to. The San Diego-Tijuana metropolitan area is the largest metropolitan area along that US-Mexican border. While both San Diego and Tijuana are known for their stark differences, they probably have more in common than you think. And who knows, maybe if that giant fence wasn't there, they would have more in common. Let's first focus on those differences though. Yeah, San Diego is in the United States, Tijuana is in Mexico, but you already knew that. San Diego has more people. Its metro area has about 1.1 million more people. City proper, San Diego is the second largest city in California and the 8th largest city in the United States. Tijuana is the largest city in the Mexican state of Baja California and 6th largest metro in all of Mexico. Tijuana is more densely populated. The cost of living is a lot higher in San Diego. In fact, according to some estimates, it's around 4 times as high. This explains why so many San Diego residents cross the border into Tijuana for some great deals. In fact, there's a rising trend of Americans moving to Tijuana for that much lower cost of living. Oh, don't get me wrong, lots of Tijuana residents also shop in San Diego. Rent prices are indeed skyrocketing in San Diego. Hey, but at least San Diego has a higher minimum wage, am I right? Lots of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds from San Diego party down in Tijuana. Why? Well, because Mexico's drinking age is 18, while it's 21 in the United States. San Diego has a lot less poverty. Related to this, Tijuana has much more crime, especially violent crime. While San Diego has a reputation as being one of the safest big cities in the United States, many automatically associate Tijuana with drug cartels and violent crime. That is misleading, though. Much of Tijuana is surprisingly safe, but there are certain parts of town where it's often not a good idea to just hang out. There is a major problem in Tijuana with corruption in its police force. Often, they just let drug gangs do their thing. And yeah, I have to bring up that in recent years, Tijuana has consistently had the highest per capita murder rate in the world. And since I'm already bringing up information that makes Tijuana look bad, let's now look at pollution. Yeah. Tijuana has much more air and water pollution. In fact, the Tijuana River, which flows through both cities and empties into the Pacific Ocean, regularly carries lots of raw sewage from Tijuana. So San Diego is constantly dealing with Tijuana's poop. Yeah, I said it. Poop. Tijuana has much more traffic. Look, I'm sorry, Tijuana residents, I'm just looking up facts here. San Diego has a deep water port with San Diego Bay, whereas Tijuana does not, and relies not only on San Diego's port, but also relies on the nearby port of Ensenada. Like several other Mexican cities, Tijuana has a giant Mexican flag visible from all over the city. It also has a giant arch you can see almost anywhere in the city. San Diego takes up more land area. Looking at maps of San Diego and Tijuana, San Diego goes more north to south, whereas Tijuana is more east to west, with not much of it even bordering the Pacific Ocean. This is evidence that Tijuana is much more dependent on San Diego than San Diego is on Tijuana. Tijuana residents are generally more religious. The biggest religion in both is Christianity, but of that group, more San Diego Christians identify as Protestant, and more Tijuana Christians identify as Roman Catholic. San Diego has been around longer.
Discovered by the Germans in 1904, they named it San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's vagina.
Unfortunately, Ron Burgundy is wrong. Do not listen to him for history lessons. But before we get into history, I'm going to tell you about private internet access, who I only recently found out about, and I've been trying it out on my computer. Private internet access is the leading no-log VPN service. Yep, there's no logging in. Ever. They've been around a while and know their stuff. Founded in 2010, for crying out loud, private internet access is PC Mag editor's choice. It has unlimited access to 10,000 servers in over 70 countries. Their VPN has dedicated apps for all platforms: Mac, Android, Amazon Fire Stick, iOS, Linux, and more. You can connect up to 10 devices at the same time and can unblock Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Disney Plus with it. Private internet access even has a kill switch that disconnects you from the internet if your VPN connection drops to ensure that your real IP isn't leaked online. Try it out and get a special price and discount by going to the link in the description of this video. There's even a 30 days money back guarantee, and you can pay for it via PayPal, gift cards, and even Bitcoin. Yeah. So thanks to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video. Okay, you dingus. So now it's history time, for real, check it. Humans have lived in the area for thousands of years. At the time of European arrival in 1542, the main tribe in the area were the Kumeyaay. Portuguese explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, although he may have been Spanish, he was sailing for Spain anyway, was the first European to check out the area. 60 years later, Sebastian Vizcaino mapped the area and tried to get Spain to colonize the area. However, it wasn't until 167 years later that they actually did. In 1769, Gaspar de Portula built a fort called El Presidio Real de San Diego. It was the first permanent European settlement on the Pacific coast of the present-day United States.
I'll be honest, I don't think anyone knows what it means anymore. Scholars maintain that the translation was lost hundreds of years ago.
Doesn't it mean Saint Diego?
No.
No, that's what it means.
Named after Diego de Alcala, a missionary. Soon after, Franciscan priests built a mission there to try to convert the locals to Roman Catholicism. By 1774, Spanish colonists began arriving to live. In reaction to these new colonists taking over, the Kumeyaay rebelled against them the following year, killing priests and burning down the mission. However, the priests rebuilt the mission, and by 1797, the mission had become the largest in California. By that time, apparently converting as many as 1,400 American Indians. It wasn't until 1829 that a dude named Santiago Arguello got a big land grant that later would be the foundation for the city of Tijuana. At the time, the land was now controlled by Mexico, who had gained independence from Spain a few years prior. Arguello started a cattle ranch, which he named Rancho Tijuana, apparently named after a nearby Kumeyaay settlement, although Tijuana translates to Aunt Jane in Spanish. 5 years later, the San Diego mission was shut down and the land sold off. Soon, San Diego became a pueblo, but due to being far away from a water route, it struggled to develop. In fact, it lost residents, going from around 600 residents in 1830 all the way down to 100 by 1838. In 1842, the Kumeyaay raided the town in an attempt to kick the Mexican settlers out. While the siege failed, the Kumeyaay were able to separate Alta California, which was the province San Diego was in, from the rest of Mexico. During the Mexican-American War, American troops and Mexican troops went back and forth fighting for control of San Diego. Ultimately, the Americans were able to hold on to it, but only after their only big defeat in the war at the Battle of San Pascual. After the United States did defeat Mexico in the war, and both countries signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico lost all of Alta California. Most of the San Diego residents stayed put, but some crossed south of the new border to remain with Mexico. Because of this, more and more folks would move into what would become the town of Tijuana, which now gained a different purpose as a gateway to the rest of the country. However, it wasn't until more than 40 years later, on July 11th, 1889, that Tijuana finally officially became a city. By that time, San Diego was a rising port city. A dude named Alonzo Horton was influential in developing it up so it had nice infrastructure, especially access to clean water. After a transcontinental railroad route came to San Diego in 1885, the population began to boom, reaching more than 16,000 by 1890. Meanwhile, Tijuana quickly positioned itself as a tourism hub. Tourism growth was temporarily stunted when revolutionaries loyal to Ricardo Flores Magón took over it for a month, but after the Panama California Exposition brought many visitors to San Diego, Tijuana residents soon made everything legal there that wasn't legal in the United States. You know, stuff like gambling on horse races and drinking. Speaking of which, during Prohibition, when it was illegal to make, sell, or transport alcohol in the United States, San Diego residents, and other Americans for that matter, flocked to Tijuana every day. Tijuana also became a place where plenty of alcohol was smuggled across the border into San Diego. By the 1920s, Tijuana had developed a reputation as a place where Americans would go to live it up. It was the original Sin City before Las Vegas later became the new Sin City. By the Great Depression, San Diego's population had swelled to almost 150,000, and Tijuana was still basically a suburb of it. San Diego survived the Great Depression better than most American cities. Since World War I, it had become a strategically important location for the American military, and also a well-suited place for developing weapons. That really picked up during World War II, of course, and ever since, San Diego has remained a military center in the country. After World War II, both San Diego and Tijuana grew rapidly. Tijuana's tourism industry dramatically expanded, and the economies of both cities started to diversify. By 1980, San Diego had nearly 900,000 residents. Between 1980 and 1985 alone, Tijuana's population doubled to more than 1 million, almost catching up to San Diego. This was due to lots of new manufacturing jobs outsourced from the United States. In the early 2000s, however, tighter United States border controls after 9/11 and a sharp rise in drug cartel violence led to thousands of wealthier Tijuana residents to flee and move up to the San Diego metro. And yet, today, Tijuana is the most visited border city in the world. It's also the westernmost city in Mexico. Both San Diego and Tijuana have different economies. Today, major industries in San Diego still include trade and defense and military, but also tourism. Major industries in Tijuana also still include tourism, but additionally retail and manufacturing. In fact, Tijuana is one of the leading manufacturing cities in all of North America. It's well known that multinational corporations have several maquiladoras in Tijuana, which are low-cost factories that can take advantage of a cheaper labor force. San Diego has the only major submarine and shipbuilding yards on the American West Coast. Major attractions in San Diego include the world-famous San Diego Zoo, Balboa Park, the Gaslamp Quarter, or Gaslamp District, Seaport Village, and the USS Midway Museum. Major attractions in Tijuana include Playas de Tijuana, Plaza Rio Tijuana, the Tijuana Cultural Center, Mercado El Popo, and Friendship Park, which is right at the international border. Okay, other random differences? Tijuana has an exceptionally large amount of medical tourists who visit each year. San Diego has an amazing amazing trolley that can get you from downtown to Tijuana in about 45 minutes, apparently. Oh, and for dirt cheap. Marijuana is legal in San Diego, but not Tijuana. The roles have reversed. However, Mexico seems to be all about legalizing marijuana any month now. Tijuana seems to have more going on in its streets. More street performers, for example, and street vendors. The southern portion of San Diego, conveniently named South San Diego, is an exclave, not having any land connection to the rest of the city. That's the portion that borders Tijuana. Okay, but let's finish the video with some similarities between the two. Well, both are near the Pacific Ocean, of course. Both have one of the most desirable climates in the world. Both have a semi-arid climate and a Mediterranean climate, with warm, dry summers and somewhat wet winters. San Diego does get slightly more precipitation. Both have lots of sunshine and lots of palm trees and beautiful beaches. I mean, come on. Residents of both cities are spoiled with their climate. Due to being near the San Andreas Fault, both do have to worry about earthquakes due to the aforementioned dry climate, and humans both also have to worry about wildfires. Both are near small mountain ranges, the main three being the Laguna Mountains, Cayamaca Mountains, and Sierra de Juarez. San Diego and Tijuana are also around a bunch of canyons. Both cities are diverse and cosmopolitan. Both have a fairly large population of residents who trace their ancestry to various Asian countries. Walking around in both cities, you'll hear plenty of people speaking both English and Spanish. In fact, Spanglish might just be the unofficial language of both cities. At least a quarter of Tijuana residents can speak English, and almost half of San Diego residents regularly speak Spanish. And finally, tacos. Both cities have some of the best tacos in the world. Tacos. Enough said. I'll end this video by looking at Las Americas Premium Outlets, a giant outlet mall that straddles the border between the two cities, just west of the San Ysidro port of entry. Here, San Diego and Tijuana residents often come together, and well, you wouldn't be able to tell, would you? So hey, it's been a bit since I released an episode of Compared. A special shout out to Jabril from the channel Jabrils. He is from San Diego and looked over the script for me, so thank you, Jabril. Hey, what did I get wrong? What did I get right? What did I leave out? Which two cities should I compare next for this series? Let me know down below. Next week, it's the epic return of Supreme Court Briefs. It's been a while for that series too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see ya when I see ya.